recorded my first studio record. It was a 4-track EP, and it was my first time doing sort of a professional recording for my music. And I just kind of wanted to take some time and kind of reflect on the experience of being an independent musician, being a new musician, and just talk a bit about some of my regrets and thoughts about the experience and just sort of what I've learned over the past year. So let's get right into it. I'm Deanna Faye, and I'm a singer-songwriter coming from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And yeah, so kind of to give you a bit of context of my story, I've always wanted to be a singer, and I've been writing songs for many years, but it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I decided to pursue my music career professionally. And I started writing songs for what I was sort of hoping would become either an album or at least a single. And then in the end, I decided to create my first EP. And basically how it went down is I wrote a bunch of songs, and then I sort of selected some of the songs that I thought might be good enough for the EP and what I thought sort of went together well enough. And then I contacted Revolution Recording, which is a recording studio here in Toronto. And it's a really, really professional one, really good one. And I reached out to Kim Cook, who works there, and he helped connect me to my producer. And basically, I knew how to record music at home, and I sort of knew a bit of music production, but I wasn't really confident in my skills, and I felt like having a producer would be the best option for me. And I think I agree with my past self that, yeah, that was definitely the right choice. But looking back, I have some major regrets. First of all, I really regret that I rushed the process. When I decided to pursue music, my mistake was that I was so head on into it that I didn't stop to sort of think about, well, how do I want my sound to come across? Yeah, I mean, I thought about that, but I didn't really take the time to fully figure that out. I was just so excited to be making music and so sort of bullheaded that I just sort of dove right in, got the music done, recorded it, and then released it almost right away. And I think this is something that a lot of new artists do. So I kind of wanted to talk a bit about this. So this sort of write the music, get it recorded, make an EP or album, and then poof, release it. The speed of which those things were done. They were done way too fast, in my case, I feel. Even though I spent about a year doing everything, I think that was, for my first time, that was not enough time. Because the end result was that I wasn't entirely happy with the results of my music, but also how the sound came across. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was relatively happy. I loved working with the producer. I loved everything about the process. It was really fun. We had to get a connection. Gavin, which is my producer's name, really got me, and we worked well together. We had good work chemistry. But I feel like it wasn't exactly what I wanted. It's nothing to do with the producer, but all because of the way I was sort of rushing into the process. What I would have done differently is I would have really taken the time to experiment with different sounds and sort of experiment with music production at home and playing with different instruments and sort of improving my music skills first before diving headfirst into making an album or record. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, duh, that's obvious. But this is a pretty common thing where we get so excited about a project that we sort of just dive right into it, and we want it to be out there before it's maybe even ready to be out there. And even if the finished product of my music sounded good, sounded great, it sounded relatively how I wanted it to, the next mistake I made was that I rushed releasing the music. So the way I did it was, after the music was finished being produced, I buckled down and I contacted like every record label, small, medium, and big, that I felt like might enjoy my music, which was a good thing to do. Nothing wrong with that. But I didn't give enough time between the finished production of the music and the release of the music. So I thought in my mind, oh, okay, a couple months is enough time, but it's not, because record labels are not constantly checking everything, and even if they are, they don't have a ton of time. So maybe by the time they got to my music was already released or was close to being released. And I did have one record label have interest in potentially signing me or working with me, but the timing was not right because my music was already going to be released, and they were thinking that it was too soon and that if they wanted to work with me, we'd have to delay it. But by that point, I'd already sort of set a release date and notified everyone about the release date, and it was sort of like this big announcement, and I couldn't let everyone down, and there was sort of like a momentum going, which was good. But I should have waited, and I should have worked with that record label, possibly, because I think that I would have had a much larger reach than I did, and I think I'm still happy with how everything turned out, because for what I did, and as an independent artist that's completely new, I think it was pretty successful. I got over 21,000 streams over the past few months and collected like a decent amount of followers, but that's not really the point. The numbers don't mean anything if I'm not really happy with my music, and if I'm not really happy with the way the art turned out, and it didn't exactly satisfy me because I rushed the process. So this time around, what I'm doing is I'm really, really taking my time. I'm spending way longer on every song. And what I mean by that is I'm jamming with myself, I'm playing on different instruments, I'm improving my production skills, and I'm really, really, really slowing down and enjoying the process and seeing it for what it is, which is an artistic process, a creative process, and it should not be rushed for the sake of reaching a goal. I think that goal would be much better reached with patience and with time, and even if it takes me 3 years to finish my next record, I'd much rather do that and be satisfied and know that I did my best possible work than to do it in 1 year and do like a sort of mediocre, or not mediocre, but not my best, and, you know, feel like maybe there's a missed opportunity there. So my recommendation is to really slow down, think about, and take your time with every song, take your time with your record planning, your release, and consider putting off your release date and consider postponing things so that you have more time and time to really fulfill the creative process. If you like this content and you want to see more videos where I talk about songwriting and the creative process, like, share, and subscribe, because every little bit helps me out. Again, my name is Deanna Faye, and I'm a musician out of Toronto, Canada. Keep writing music, keep making the good stuff. I'll talk to you later. Take care.